Here we are, guys, with our first installment of the Pick'em series. Hopefully, this can kind of turn into just a quick, 3, 4, 5 minute video, kind of talking about the fights from the upcoming cards. Here, our next card is going to be on December 30th, 2017. We have Cyborg versus Holly Holm, and I'm going to kind of talk about some of my predictions for the main card. So, Carlos Condit, he's coming off a loss to Damian Maia and a loss to Robbie Lawler. We all remember Carlos Condit from those nasty days where he almost took out GSP, and he was having wars in almost every single one of his fights. So I think he is due for a win. I do believe he is going to knock out Neil Magny, who's coming off 3 straight losses, if you ask me. He lost to Lorenz Larkin with some elbows to the head in the first round. He was dominated by, Johnny Hendricks as far as the wrestling goes. He did get a controversial decision over Hendricks. The crowd was pretty upset. I was pretty upset. I remember watching that fight. And then his last outing was an arm triangle loss to Rafael Dos Anjos, who looks like a world beater. So I don't know if I can fault him that much. Either way, that's going to be the fight this weekend, and I'm picking Carlos Condit by a knockout. I think he's due for a win, and I think this is honestly a step down in competition for Carlos Condit. We'll see. Our next one is going to be Cynthia Calvillo versus Carla Esparza. I don't really know too much about these two girls. The only thing I know is Cynthia is undefeated. She is associated with Team Alpha Male, I believe, so they're all pretty stoked about her. And I know that her last win was by submission, I believe. So I'm looking to have her win again by submission over Carla Esparza. Carla Esparza, not to take anything away from her, I know she's a tough chick. She was the first strawweight champion in the UFC. Granted, the division wasn't very deep when she won, and then she was, made a quick work of by Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So I just believe that, her soul is gone, and I don't know if she is going to be able to come back. Jimmy Rivera versus Marlon Moraes, I believe, is going to be the next one. We don't know the official opponent for Jimmy Rivera. We do know that John Lineker had to pull out. Either way, Jimmy Rivera does have a win over a Brazilian in his last fight. He beat up Thomas Almeida. He rocked him a bunch of times on the feet, and then he had a win over Uriah Faber, which was pretty wrestling dominant. So this guy, he's a nasty dude. He's got a lot of ways to mix it up. I see him winning versus Marlon Moraes by decision. I was pretty happy, though, that Moraes beat Sterling, just because I think Aljamain Sterling is a boring fighter, and I think he finally got his ass beat, which I was happy about. So the co-main is going to be Khabib versus Edson Barboza. My heart tells me, Edson Barboza, just because he's such an entertaining fighter. He has that win over Dariush where he knocked him out with a jumping knee, spectacular performance, and then he outclassed Anthony Pettis. Although Anthony Pettis is kind of on the decline, he lost that fight, and then he's lost a couple more since then. But I have to go with Khabib just because, the strength he displayed versus RDA, I just don't think that anybody in the lightweight division has enough for him. And you obviously saw his dominance over Michael Johnson, when they fought in New York. As for the main event, I'm going to go with Holly Holm over Cris Cyborg, just because Holly Holm, she's got the rope-a-dope style, okay? I think it's going to be very similar to when she beat up Bethe Correia as far as the finish. She's going to get Cyborg frustrated and take advantage. As far as leading up to the finish, I think she's going to employ that rope-a-dope style like she did on Ronda Rousey. So there's the picks, guys. Have a great weekend, and we will check in once the fights are over.